Hello students, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to continue learning the chapter 10, which is inheritance. In the previous video we have seen what is inheritance and what is the different types of visibility mode through which we are going to inherit the property from the base class to the derived class. Also we had learned the basic definition of what is a base class and a derived class. So once again to recap, base class is nothing but a class from where I'm going to inherit its property. Property is nothing but its data members as well as function can be inherited by another class, and this class which inherits the property of the base class is called as derived class. So this we have seen in the last class. So let us continue. Today we are going to learn the levels of inheritance, and also we are going to see the different forms of inheritance. This is an important question from the point of view of your examination students. The different forms of inheritance, there are 5 which might come for the exam. Usually we have seen that question coming again and again, right? So before going to that, what is a derived class can share properties from? How many forms it can share the property from the base class? Okay, so there are 3. First is from only one class. Second, it can derive from more than one class. Third is it can derive more than one level. Now what is the meaning of that? Only one class. When I say the usually what we see, the base class and the derived class. Now this is nothing but the derived class is deriving the property from or sharing the property from one base class. So when I say more than one class, what is the meaning of more than one class? So for example, I have two classes here. Okay, this is class A and class B. Now there can be a class C which is a derived class which is deriving the property from the two base classes. So that is what I mean when I say more than one class. So derived class can share property from only one class, more than one level. So what is the meaning of that? So this is my 0th level, base level, and this is my first level, which I mean to say that the derivation or the inheritance can happen in multiple levels also. Not just from a single, it can be from multiple class as well as it can happen in multiple levels. I hope this is clear. So this is what a levels of inheritance means. Now when derived class can share the property for what all the different types of properties it can share from. One is a single, okay, another one is multiple classes, and next one is multi-level classes. Okay, now that we know about this, let us move on to a little bit complicated inheritance. That is, what are the different classifications of the inheritance? Okay, based on that we can let us now see what are the different classifications. So first we have single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance. Now there is a different multi-level inheritance and multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance and hybrid inheritance. Okay, now let us see them one by one, what each one of them mean. So this is nothing but a classification of the inheritance. The very first one, what we usually see, the each example what I've been giving all this while is nothing but it is called as a single inheritance. So what is a single inheritance? A single inheritance, if a class is derived from a single base class. Okay, so I have a single base and I have a derived class here. So this is just like a father-son relation. Or if a father has a son, a one son, then this is nothing but a single inheritance is what we're calling. This is the very basic one and just the beginning one. It is nothing but single inheritance. So what happens? I have a base, I have a derived class, and there is only one level here. Next type is multi-level inheritance. So what is this multi-level? Multi-level, as we spoke, the classes can also be derived from the classes that are already derived. So what is the meaning of that? For example, see, I have a base class here. This becomes a derived class. Now I have another class which is class 2, which is getting derived by another class which is already a derived class. Okay, so this is nothing but is nothing but they show the multi-level inheritance. So that is what the meaning of this. The classes can also be derived from the classes that are already derived. This type of inheritance is called as multi-level inheritance. So in the examination, they might ask you the definition and also they ask you to explain. You can draw a diagram and explain it, right? So in a real life example, if you're giving, we have a grandfather, father and son. This becomes our multi-level inheritance. Okay. So father is inheriting the property of a grandfather, and son is inheriting the properties of father, which in turn he is also inheriting the properties of a grandfather, because of course the father will be having the grandfather's property, and the father will become a base class for son, and son is inheriting the property of father. In turn, he is inheriting the property of grandfather as well. I hope this is clear. So this is nothing but multi-level. So whenever you come across this line level, remember this is nothing but we are having so many derived class one after the other. So that is nothing but multi-level inheritance. Next, I have multiple inheritance. So what is this multiple inheritance? Multiple inheritance, if a class is derived from more than one base class, this becomes multiple. That means I have a derived class, a single derived class, but my base classes are more than one. Such situation is called as multiple inheritance. So how many levels we have? We have only one level here, but the number of base classes are more. When it comes to multi-level, we have number of derived classes more, wherein which in your multiple inheritance we have more number of base classes. Okay, so for example here, king and queen, okay, and then prince. So prince is deriving the properties of queen and king. So this becomes multiple inheritance, right? Okay, I hope there is no confusion. Next comes is hierarchical inheritance. Now, what is this hierarchical inheritance? If a number of classes are derived from a single base class. Now, this is another kind of an example. I have a single base class and I have multiple derived class. But here what is happening? These derived classes are not deriving from each other, but they are deriving from a single base. Now, this kind becomes our hierarchical inheritance. Okay, hierarchy. Usually we see hierarchy in organizations, like as you can see here an example. We have a staff. The staff can be lecturer, office staff and group D staff. Okay, so this is nothing but I have a base, and from that base I am deriving different kind of derived classes. These derived classes are not derived from each other. When they are derived from each other, then they will become multi-level, right? So this is the different forms. Next, we have hybrid inheritance. Now, what is this hybrid inheritance? Hybrid inheritance is the combination of hierarchical and multi-level inheritance. Okay, so it should have been multiple inheritance. So why? Let us see here. See, I have a base class. Okay, from the base class, I am deriving two derived class. Now, what is this? This is nothing but our hierarchical inheritance, which we have learned just now. Now I have two derived class, or suppose if I'm taking it as a base class, from there I am taking another single derived class. Now what this forms? This is nothing but my multiple. This is nothing but my multiple inheritance, isn't it? We have seen. Now multi-level, what is multi-level? Multi-level is nothing but I have a base and then I'm having so many derived classes. Yes, of course, this is also a multi-level. Why? Because I have a base, then I have a derived class, and then I have, see, something like this. Oh, here if you consider this part, this becomes a multiple inheritance. So hybrid, usually we when do we say a hybrid? A word hybrid is usually used when we are combining more than one type of a prototypes, isn't it? So here what is happening here in this particular example, when you see I have hierarchical here, I have multiple here, I also have multi-level. If you're considering only this part and this part, I even have multi-level, right? So this is nothing but my hybrid inheritance. So let us just quickly recap all the five types of inheritance, right? So inheritance can be single inheritance. A single inheritance is nothing but I have a single base class and then a derived class. Multi-level inheritance is nothing but I have a single base class from which I'm going to derive another class, and that derived class becomes a base class for another derived class. So this is nothing but multi-level inheritance. Next is multiple inheritance. Here I'm going to have a number of bases but one derived class. This is called as a multiple inheritance. And the hierarchical inheritance is nothing but I have a single base from which I'm going to derive many classes. And then comes a hybrid inheritance, the last one, where I'm going to combine together different types of inheritance and form a single hybrid type of inheritance. Okay, I hope this types of inheritance is clear, students. So that's all in today's session. Thank you for watching.